Then 3, we have the visitor motives and decision making. Here it's probably helpful to give a short comment or a short explanation about what visitor satisfaction is and how it arises and what is it influenced by. Of course, visitor satisfaction is important because the propensity for further visits or for disseminating a good experience to other people around, it needs a good visitor satisfaction. But also, visitor satisfaction is more about short-term effects. Visitor satisfaction is mostly what people feel when they leave the venue, when they have seen the movie and you ask them, how do you feel now? And satisfaction also can quickly be arised, for instance, by surprise, by a new design, provocation, unusual representations, whatever. So you also can, in a short term, influence positively visitor satisfaction. The long-term effect on satisfaction is often very different. When you ask people, for instance, after half a year, how satisfied were you with your festival visit 6 months ago? Very often the answers turn out different, because in the meantime, things happen. For instance, people talk to other people. People read about in the media, read about the festival in the media. And if, for instance, for example, there are many critical comments in the media about the festival, visitor satisfaction may change afterwards. So it's influenced by many factors. Also, it's important to underline that satisfaction is not only created by content quality or by the program or by the offer, but also by the additional services. How arises satisfaction? Usually it's a comparison between the expectations a visitor has of a visit and his experience. This difference, causes satisfaction. So, which means if the experience is lower than the expectations were, judgment is bad, is dissatisfied. This means, for instance, when you have someone who is a very loyal visitor and has a very high aspirations, that it may happen easily that he says, well, this time what I experienced was not so good, and he is not satisfied. On the other hand, when you have people that have very low expectations, they do not expect very much from the festival, it is easier to make a positive surprise for them, and then they will be more satisfied. And of course, visit by visit, when you have loyal visitors, the level of expectation at least is the same or it rises. This is something we find very often in marketing. The loyal visitors, time after time, have higher expectations, and it becomes more difficult and more difficult by the time to meet these expectations. And as I mentioned, here these expectations are also shaped by different factors. They're shaped by one's experiences in the past, when I am a regular visitor, my needs, by the information received from others, from other people, or from the media, or expectations that relate also to the additional services, friendliness of staff, information policy, and so on. What does this mean? Also, respondents are often unaware of their expectations. They do not know this exactly in advance, and they are also not able to tell you what do I really expect here. They also hardly can express their feels. So what is important here is to ask very specifically how they evaluate the different aspects of the performance or of the service. You have to ask very much in detail. Otherwise, the answers will be misleading. For instance, here, this is also here a like it question. You may answer this by fully, predominantly, less, or not at all. And then here we have how do the performance meet your expectations? The game playing, sophisticated production, excellent music, impressive music, gripping performances, great ambience, or whatever. Yeah? And you can make this, of course, much longer as well. Then here you can see then and compare which visitors have which degree of satisfaction. First-time visitors, regular visitors, age groups, everything. This is always important. The major insights you get from here when you compare always the subgroups. Also, here again, what can I highlight? After seeing the movie, how would you rate the film? After seeing the movie, did it meet your expectations? Better than, about what, or not as good? So here, it's interesting also when you compare what was the reason I came here and what did I experience and how is the difference. Here we have the service. Also satisfaction with the service in detail. Subscription, ticket sales, by internet, by the box office, opening hours, evening staff, catering, and whatever there is possible, what is given in the venue. If you have a personal interviewer,
it is what
you
I
can
wanted to.
make it longer, yes. Yeah.
Longer, but yeah, maybe also not that much questions, so the
12 or 15 minutes, maybe. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say 10 minutes, this is an average. Very often, for instance, older people need much longer. They need 12 or 15 minutes, and younger people go through this same questionnaire in 7 or 8 minutes. So, but 10 minutes is a rule, which means altogether it's about 20 questions.
Mm-hmm.
20 questions. Here we have, this is a so-called semantic differential. This is when you want to assess your image. This is not about satisfaction, about certain issues, but your image as an institution overall. And here we have opposite words, like here alive and monotonous, or innovative and traditional, important, unimportant, expensive, cheap, adapted, means angepasst, versus provocative. What can you do here is you can find out how do the visitors view your brand altogether. If every institution or many institutions have a kind of mission or vision statement or a purpose or a light build from themselves. And from here you can develop certain aspects and put this into the question and ask the people, do the visitors really view us as we want it to be viewed? Or do we have a completely different image? Then here we have, very often or always, we like to have an overall judgment of satisfaction. This is a typical question. How satisfied were you overall in terms of your visit today? This is a Likert scale, very rather partly dissatisfied and so forth. Of course, this is very important because it summarizes the satisfaction of the customer, and this allows very easy also comparisons between different groups. You can make comparisons younger and older and so forth. The problem here we have is that almost always people tend to rate up 80 to 90% to the point 1 and 2, the so-called top 2 boxes here. Very satisfied and rather satisfied. Almost no one says partly and dissatisfied. Actually, almost never happens. So, okay, here we have this satisfied question. 89% always rate the top 2 boxes of this. So, for the analysis, actually, it does not tell you very much. I ask this question very often, and each time I think, yes, okay, nice, but what can I do with this? You can, of course, group the answers by age groups, women, first time, and so forth. Yes, then you see something, but however, there's a better alternative to this, and this alternative is asking for recommendation. How likely are you to recommend a visit to our festival to a friend, family member, or a colleague? Very likely, probably, neither nor, unlikely, and so forth. This yields different answers to the question above. Have you an idea why?
Because you only recommend something when you are satisfied with this event.
Yes, when you are really satisfied and when you can say, yes, I'm convinced, I really stay to this. And this is the effect. This question is less influenced by the situation.